All right, General Russel Honoré, how are you doing here today?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Fantastic. First of all, thank you very much for your service. Absolutely. You and I have I met you briefly through a media thing during Katrina, but that's when you first came on my radar, and certainly the radar of a lot of people nationally was during Katrina. And we just acknowledged the 20th year anniversary of Katrina a couple of weeks ago. So I thought it'd be a prudent time to sit down and talk to you. You are not just the Katrina guy, though. You are an author, you are a speaker, you are a military guy. So I don't even know where to start. How do you think of yourself?
Retired.
Retired.
I'm still working.
Retired and still working. What's keeping you busy?
Find problems and help people solve them.
Okay. And where does that take you in the world?
All over the United States. Over time.
When did you get out of the military? When did
2008.
you go? 2008. And what year was Katrina?
2005.
2005. So did you go straight from the military into authorship? And how did that go?
Yeah, I retired maybe like in February of 2008, then worked with a writer to help me write my first book. We focused on survival, how to create a culture of preparedness.
Okay, what was the title of that book?
How to create a culture of preparedness. Survival.
That was a good title.
Survival. Survival was the name.
Okay.
Subtitle, Create a Culture of Preparedness.
Okay.
And that was an experience.
Yeah, no.
Writing was my strength, but I collaborated with a former print writer from the Atlanta Constitution.
Okay.
And we sat on the porch and he asked me questions and he wrote the book.
So I think I need to do my due diligence. You know, we need to go back to the beginning. Where were you born, and how was life for you growing up?
Well, as we said here in Baton Rouge, I was born about 25 miles up the river in a place called Point-Capee Parish.
Yes.
Lakeland, Louisiana.
Okay.
At the corner of the Irvinville Road and the Lakeland Road.
Okay. Brothers, sisters?
I was 8 of 12.
8 of 12.
Born on a subsistence farm in what we call Lakeland, Louisiana. Right before you get to the Falls River and surrounded by the Alma Plantation on one side and Falls River down the road and the Chenal Bayou.
12 people. Is that like, I mean, I'm not going to ask you how old you are, but like, was that kind of normal where you grew up, that many kids?
We were probably one of the larger families, but they had many others with a half dozen, 7 or 8.
I'm one of 6, but 12 is a whole different animal. Like growing up, what was that experience like? I mean, it was a big family on a subsistence farm. So what was it like growing up one of 12?
Well, you learn good teamwork.
Yeah, I guess you do.
You learn where you are in the pecking order. And you learn the value of work.
No doubt.
That if you want something, you can work for it.
Yeah.
And you learn the value of getting education.
Sure.
And when education was a real privilege. When I came up, because my father didn't have a chance for education, he didn't have school for our people in Point-Capee Parish when he grew up.
Yeah.
And my older brother, I think he was one of the first graduates from the high school, first high school in Point-Capee.
Wow. Yeah.
The generation before me, if you wanted to go to high school, you'd have to come to Baton Rouge, and many of them came to high school at McKinley High School, live with relatives. But by a large part, the education system just haven't been developed out. I was fortunate enough to go to all 12 years public school in Point-Capee Parish.
Wow.
St. Alma Elementary, and then Rosenwald High School in New Roads.
So people know you best from your role during Katrina. I say people, I guess. I mean, it's hard. I mean, people that know you obviously know you for different things, but like, you know, popular culture knows you from your work in Katrina. So how did you go from Point-Capee 1 of 12 into the military? What was that transition? How did you get into the Army?
Well, I went into Southern University in 1966 as a freshman.
Okay.
the Vietnam War was at its heights, and because Southern is a land-grant college, all men had to take what we call Reserve Officer Training Corps. It was a land-grant college. Was a requirement. You're in ROTC if you're able-bodied male.
Okay.
And the first 2 years of ROTC was mandatory. And I think if you opted out, you were subject to the draft, as I recall.
Okay.
My aspiration, once I got into ROTC, was to stay there, finish college, and get commissioned as a second lieutenant.
Okay.
And I did that in 4.5 years and was commissioned a second lieutenant in the infantry.
Okay.
And
did you always see it like as a career? Are you going to stick?
no, I had the honor of being honored to be a regular Army graduate.
Okay.
Which was pretty competitive to do, because most Reserve Officer Training Corps lieutenants are commissioned in the reserves, National Guard or Reserve. I was commissioned as a regular Army officer.
Okay.
And I knew I had a 4-year commitment. So what started off as an obligation ended up being a way of life for 37 years, 3 months and 3 days, 25 moves and 4 kids later.
What kept you plugged in for that long? Was it incremental? Was it like a shift in you?
I would say after those first 2 or 3 years, I was very comfortable being on a winning team called the United States Army.
Cool.
At a very difficult time, as the Army was coming out of Vietnam. We had many social issues that was indicative in the population. We had, if you go back and look at 1971, the issues of the day, there were anti-war protests. There were issues with integration. Segregation was still alive, even though the major federal laws had changed. There was still a big peace movement going on, and then we had all these veterans coming back from Vietnam.
Right.
That were going through all the issues of post-war drama, from PTSD to substance and drug abuse. And I don't speak that about all the people came back from Vietnam. I didn't go. I came in 1971 and was sent to Fort Benning to infantry school, then airborne school. And by that time, they weren't shipping a lot of lieutenants to Vietnam. They were starting to draw it down. And I went to a place called Fort Ord. So, but we had a lot of social issues, just like one might say we have today.
I mean, I was wondering what kept you connected for 37 years. I mean, how did those social issues and your perspective of those kind of affect your willingness?
Well, if anything, that's one thing the Army just sort of balanced out.
Ah, yeah.
You know, you moved into a new community. You moved into an Army garrison, an Army post, as we call them. And you moved in the house that was available. It had nothing to do with what you look like or where you came from. And your kids went out on the street as they grew, and they were welcome in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
It was kind of like it should be everywhere. And you were treated based on the idea of the words of Dr. King. You're treated on your competence and not
your merit.
Yeah, as opposed to your ethnicity.
And so that was a culture you just really gravitated towards and liked.
I liked, and the one thing I figured out when I was on the farm in Lakeland, don't let anybody outwork you.
Yeah.
Because I knew I wasn't necessarily the smartest person in the room, literally. I had classmates from West Point and Ivy League schools who could probably read and write better than me, but I wasn't going to let them outwork me.
No doubt, yeah.
Just work harder.
So there's that climate of kind of merit-based acknowledgement. You just kind of thrived in that space because of your upbringing. That makes a lot of sense. Where did you where did the military take you? Where were you stationed over the years? Were there any kind of like events? I mean, we'll get to Katrina in a minute, but like that really stood out pre-Katrina?
Oh, yeah, there were many. As I said, we moved
give me
25 times. We started out in a place called Fort Ord, California.
Yeah.
I remember something that really struck me. The first Armed Forces Day we had planned at Fort Ord.
You said Fort Ord?
Fort Ord, O-R-D,
O-R-D, okay.
California, near Monterey. The Armed Forces Day celebration was canceled because of protests.
Okay.
It was still protesting the Vietnam War.
Just as a sidebar, you I think your constitution is set in concrete in a way that I think you don't earn until you get later in life. I say that as a person that only knows you through books and television.
Okay.
So I wanted to just read one of these things that I dog-eared in your book when I was reading it.
Okay.
Because we are of the same mind, even if I'm a little less experienced than you. I love this line. We in this country keep creating new ways to do stupid things, and we do them quicker now because of technology.
Yeah.
When I read that, I laughed out loud because that is, it's true. It's true. It's a different way of seeing like technology, but yeah. These two books here that we have on this table, you've got your Leadership in the New Normal, and you've got your Don't Get Stuck on Stupid.
Yeah.
How do you think about these two books? Yeah, you know, as having written them as an author, like what were you hoping to impart in them, and what do you think you did? How do you think about these two books here?
Well, this is Don't Get Stuck on Stupid is a throwaway line from that was quoted heavily during Katrina.
Yep, you were made famous by it.
But the depth of it, the line is actually from a blues song.
Tell me the story. I read it in the book.
By a lady named Shirley Brown.
Can you tell me about that morning?
You know, that was the afternoon. The song played on the radio as I was tendering my garden the Saturday that Katrina was headed toward the Gulf. We had our staff meeting. We had gotten our orders from the president that he was going to declare a pre-storm declaration. And I literally just went home to chill before I went in for my night briefing update. And I went work in my garden. And when I pulled up my old truck, I used to listen to this blues station in Atlanta, and there it was, Don't Get Stuck on Stupid. And that line stuck with me because in the military, we study history. And we looked at the response to Andrew. We looked at the response to the flood of 1927. We looked at the response to Hurricane Betsy and Camille, what role the military made. And we didn't want to repeat mistakes.
Sure. That's the idea, right? You learn history.
We want to get there. If we're ordered, make an impact, take care of the people, and get the job done and take care of the people, save lives. And that stayed in the back of my mind until it got blurred out in a news conference week 2 of Katrina, or week 3 of Katrina, when a reporter kept asking me after we had made an announcement on the approach of Hurricane Rita, and the governor called me up for comments, and I said, well, we're ready to evacuate people out of New Orleans. Hurricane Rita's coming. It doesn't look like it might hit the city directly, but the infrastructure is such. We can take you out of the city today. We got buses at the convention center. You make your way there, and of course, most of the people are already evacuated. This is 3 weeks after Katrina, thereabouts. And then the reporter, a guy who turned out to be a good friend, Rick Leventhal, I was on his program on Newsmax just a couple of days ago. He asked, well, why didn't you do that for Katrina? And I said, look, we're putting information out about Rita right now. We need to focus on Rita. And then he came back with the same question. I said, this storm is different. We weren't here. We're trying to put information out about Rita, tell people how need to evacuate, when to evacuate. And I said, we're not stuck on stupid.
And it stuck.
It stuck. It resonated.
So I was watching, what's the name of that documentary that you were in? It was Katrina, Come Hell or High Water.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's probably a while back since you filmed that, but that came out on Netflix, and you were featured heavily in that, appropriately so.
You talking about the most recent one?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. There's so many, aren't there?
Yeah, there's two of them there. Hell or High Water and the other one, National Geographic's.
Yeah, this was Hell or High Water.
Yeah, I think that's Spike Lee.
Oh, cool! It was really well done. I enjoyed watching it. But your part in it, it struck me that there was a lot of influence from politicians, which have their own incentive structure. You had reporters who have their own incentive structure, and then here comes this military guy called General Russel Honoré, and I just got struck by the sense that you were just, I don't. I think a lot of people kind of see you as Superman in many ways, but like you just were dealing with stuff that was in front of your face. It was like, this is here, it needs to be solved. And all of that kind of noise around you, you just kind of shut it down. Is that something you learn in the military? Is that the way they train you? Is deal what's in front of you? Ignore the noise? Like what was the thing that you...
Well, you got to pay attention to the noise. Okay. You got to read the room.
Yeah.
But you got to solve the problem.
No doubt.
And the luxury I have as an Army commander, a 3-star general, I'm not burdened with the responsibility of political responsibility, because at the end of the day, it's the politicians that rule. They tell us what to do. Mm-hmm. And our job is to go get it done the most efficient way we can.
Right.
And when I flew into New Orleans on Wednesday morning at 9:47, I went to see the mayor, and his orders were very clear: evacuate the city and take care of the people as quick as we can. Sound like it's enough information for me?
Yeah.
Because I'm not saying how to do it. Evacuate the city. So I flew and saw the governor, a lovely lady named Governor Kathleen Blanco, tremendously admired. She's since passed, but she was a great leader. And I wasn't with her but a few minutes, and she affectionately called me her general once she determined I was as we say in Louisiana, homeboy, a part off the bayou. Mm-hmm. Lakeland, Punkapi Parish, and she would refer to me as her general. Okay. And I held that in high esteem. So I didn't spend many minutes with her, and we talked. I told her what the mayor had said his priority was, and she said that is the priority, evacuation. And she had provide food, water, and medicine to people where you can. And she said, General, help us with this. You go help us with this evacuation. So that was pretty clear. I mean, don't get much clearer than that. And after I talked to Governor Blanco, I went over and saw the FEMA administrator, a guy named Mike Brown, who was featured. Well, people saw him on TV 20 years ago, and they saw him in a documentary. And he gave me a very warm welcome. He was in a mobile command center right outside of the state headquarters, emergency headquarters. And he gave me a warm welcome, and he pulled a chair back and said, this is your chair. I want you right here next to me. We got to have unified command. And without even thinking about it, I said, well, I'm not staying here. I'm going to New Orleans. The problem's in New Orleans. If I stay here, I'm going to be watching.
He was up in Baton Rouge, wasn't he? And Unified Command was in Baton Rouge?
Yeah. That's where FEMA headquarters was, next to the governor's headquarters. And I said, I'm going to New Orleans.
And you did?
And he kind of said again, well, I need you here to get unified. I said, well, we'll send somebody, but I'm not staying here. I'm going to New Orleans.
Right.
We're going to deal with it from there, and we'll keep you informed.
No doubt.
So that was probably the first good decision I made, is not to stay in Baton Rouge.
Yeah. I don't know, man. That period of time was crazy. I mean, I remember I was in town and I was watching it on the television. It just didn't feel real, I guess. It's definitely worth watching that documentary.
So you were here in Baton Rouge?
Yeah, just in and out. But yeah, it was It was an interesting experience to go through, and I definitely encourage people to watch that Spike Lee documentary. It really did a good job of kind of capturing the whole scope of it. When you watch the news, you never get the full story on the news.
Well, no, that's a good point. And I would commend people to watch the Hulu version of it, too, from National Geographic.
Okay.
For which I get no compensation from either one, just the truth. I'm just telling you, you watch both of them, and they give you a pretty good perspective of it. And there are others out there by the National Channel, Weather Channel, and CNN's put one out. They're all over the place, and the local paper has done a pretty good job of wrapping things up. But back to your point,
you never get the full story from the news.
It washes with me with something I learned in college from a very wise professor, Dr. Marshall, I think her name was. And we were talking, it was a college social study class, and she asked us a question about Vietnam.
What was the question?
Of what we thought about Vietnam and why we were in the war. Which is a pretty deep question for a junior, senior in high school. I think I might have been a senior in college then.
Yeah.
And we all took a shot at it.
Okay.
You know, we want to stop the domino from communism taking over. That had been fed to us. We want to protect America from world dominance. You know, we wanted to help the people of Vietnam to be free like we are. I mean, it just went to
all the narratives.
The narratives that were hitting the news. And Dr. Marshall said this in that Southern University classroom overlooking the Buff. She said, we won't know until this get washed in history what happened.
Yeah.
Until the people who led this war is dead.
Wow.
Because the news will not be a true reflection of what's going on. This has to be washed in history.
Washed in history. I like that phrase.
Before the relative whole stories are told. And I can only reflect a few years ago when McNamara book came out and told pretty close story as to the proliferation of that war and how it happened. Even though I didn't serve in it, so I talk about it with tongue in cheek, but I was prepared to, but didn't serve there. I was needed elsewhere by the time I got out of Fort Benning. But it put things in perspective that I think Katrina, we're 20 years later.
Yeah.
These documentaries have come out. We had some documentaries come out at 10 years. But I think these have come with a lot more clarity. And if it's one point that they amplified in both documentaries I've seen and I participated in, and this was done by the media themselves talking to people, the survivors, that what was portrayed in the news was an uneven portrayal of the life of the survivors.
An uneven portrayal?
Yeah, because the survivors were portrayed in much of the media as it happened about being looters.
Yeah.
Where in essence, and I think both the documentaries bring out, yeah, they did go in stores to get water and food to eat.
They were hungry.
They were in the survival mode.
Yeah.
But the amplification that, particularly some of the conservative media, that amplified this piece about their looting. And even not just conservative leading media, CNN was pushing, well, look, we see the looters coming out of the store. Without any appreciation that these people are going in, not to bring 52-inch TVs out,
well, they hadn't eaten
but to bring food and water
3
out.
days. It was
they
like
bring food and water out.
Before they started to go do that.
That narrative in the media put a lot of pressure on the state to control looting. And it came from the national media. It came from the White House. It came from the Department of Homeland Security. They were all talking about controlling the looting. Well, hell, we hadn't evacuated the people out of the city yet. But it came a story about looting then on Thursday afternoon of Katrina week 1. I was walking the streets of down by the convention center. Louisiana National Guard and others have brought a lot of food and water to the convention center. We just about emptied the Superdome with buses. National Guard's coming down with food and water for the convention center. Big, large trucks. And we get that in there, and that works out. And late afternoon, I get a call from my staff. I had a staff in Atlanta, and my high headquarters in Colorado. I said, if the mayor, the governor, or the president say something, FEMA director or Department of Homeland, I need to know what they say. So they called in to my aide and said, hey, the governor just did a news conference that Thursday afternoon, and she is addressing the looting by telling our police and National Guard to shoot to kill. And I said, okay. And we got the governor on the phone. I said, man, we can't do that. You don't want to tell your police and National Guard to shoot your own people.
Yeah.
We don't do shit like that in America.
Yeah, I remember seeing you on the news. You're walking around telling everyone to put the guns down. Is that in response to that conversation?
Yeah. Well, that had happened earlier in the day. Put the guns down. No, that happened Friday morning. This incident, I'm Thursday. Yeah, that was a follow-on to this shoot to kill. And the governor backed off and said, "Well, yes, General, that's probably not a good idea." I said, "Well, please tell your people to get the word out. We're not shooting to kill." But in New Orleans, they set the police from doing search and rescue to do to stop looting.
That's nuts.
And again, people were going in stores to get food and water.
That's portrayed really well in that documentary. There was some scenes that whole like media narrative thing becomes really evident, as you pointed out. There were some shots that they had of the convention center when all the people were stuck there. They were like 15, 30 deep on that sidewalk there by the thing. It just it was a real, and I don't remember seeing that during the time. So, what advice do you give to people having gone through all that and seen some stuff in your time? So, how as you move through a news event or something happens in the world, how do you get your news? How do you go about, or at least try to get the most rounded perspective on current events?
To remember old Army saying, the first report is normally wrong. So don't overreact. I mean, there's some things you can get emotionally engaged in, plane crash. Let's wait and see what happened.
Wait and see.
A bridge fell. Let's wait and see what happened. Was it mechanical or was it intentional? Police shoot somebody. Okay, let's wait and see what this is all about.
That's what you do. It's just patience. Wait and see.
And again, the difference today is, in that quote you picked out from the book, and in Katrina, we didn't have the social media presence we have now.
Yeah.
People were just starting to get into texting. And Facebook and Twitter, I don't know, we got to look at history on whether Facebook, I know texting was starting to take off big. But neither one of those medium on the way they are today, social media or even TikTok or Instagram and all the others, that going all the way back to George Washington and up to Abraham Lincoln, they could say something stupid and nobody would know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean.
Now, it could be said in the Rose Garden and the world knows.
Dude, it could be
instant communications.
Absolutely.
And And I know President Bush has regretted many times during the news conference. So we got food on the way, we got buses on the way, and this is what politicians do. They like to pass compliments. You're doing a great job, Brownie. Whereas when you look at the people still waiting to be evacuated, that wasn't an appropriate time to say that. And within a week, that guy was gone, Brownie.
You know, what do you said that you're retired working. You know, what does that mean? What's keeping you busy these days with all that experience behind you and all of those?
Well, I stay busy. I stay engaged with Southern University, my alma mater here in Baton Rouge.
Nice.
With activities there when they wish me to come over.
Yeah.
And sponsor a program called the Honoré Center for Student Achievement.
Cool.
And that's been going on for maybe 12 years now. Mm-hmm. It's at Southern University in New Orleans. Nice. And we took on a mission to graduate male teachers.
Okay.
And that's our objective. And we graduate 5 or 6 a year. And my mission is to help raise the funds because we do a fully funded college for these young men.
Cool.
And most of them are from New Orleans, and most of them end up back in the New Orleans school systems. Our objective is to get more men in the classroom.
That makes sense to me.
In this case, we focus on African-American men, but less than 1% of the teachers are African-American men in that community. I know, looking back on my high school experience, almost half my teachers were men because they come back from World War II and they use the GI program to get their college degree. And I think it made a great difference.
I mean,
in our school that we had male teachers.
Yeah, certainly. It's those you know, where can you apply your resources to touch a kid, in this case, through their education every single day?
Yeah.
That seems to make sense. You said it's the Southern University campus in New Orleans?
Yes, that's where it is hosted.
And where can people go if they want to give some money to that?
You can go to the Southern University Foundation.
Yeah.
Or you can go to our Facebook page.
Okay.
Honoré Center for Student Achievement. You can find us right there online.
We'll link it up in the comments of this and stuff.
We appreciate you doing that.
And I know the answer to this because I bought them both. But where can people get your books? You got Don't Get Stuck on Stupid and Leadership in the New Normal and a whole bunch of others as well.
Well, they're produced by Acadian Press over in Lafayette. You can find them online. Mm-hmm. And I do local speaking events.
Oh, nice.
And I'll normally bring some along with me if the time is available. Mm. The other thing I do is I lead the Green Army.
What is the Green Army?
We fight pollution.
Okay, cool.
And we worked hard to save the aquifer for which Baton Rouge gets its water. We've worked on legislation for that. We work for air monitoring in and around Louisiana, mm-hmm. in what we call Cancer Alley, from all the way from Lake Charles to Plaquemine Parish. And we've dealt with the sinkhole in Bayou Corn in Assumption Parish.
You have your own website, or are you just partner?
No, we have a website. We have we're registered on Facebook.
Okay.
We make comments there just about every day dealing with pollution. Our objective is not to eliminate anything, but to do it safe. Okay. Our motto is finding solutions for pollution. I realized I came here in a vehicle that get 20 miles a gallon. Mm-hmm. That fuel come out the ground someplace.
It did.
And I also know we got to go through a transition until we can find something better. That is what we use. But it does not give the refinery in North Baton Rouge the right to pollute our air and pollute our water. Mm. And, yeah, they hire a lot of people. But they don't have the right to violate the Clean Air Act or the Clean Water Act.
And so you're on the lookout for those kind of instances, those violations, and just keeping your eye on stuff, yeah?
Right, and normally that comes from the people in the community.
Sure.
that will call us and say, hey, we need your voice. There's something going on up here, and people are getting sick. Or we've been told we got to evacuate, and they haven't told us why. So we use our voice in the Green Army, primarily my voice, and call people and say, what the hell's going on?
I guess when you show up and you say something like that, you get their attention, yeah?
Well, most of the time. I mean, I'm getting a little older, and people say, who the hell is that guy talking all loud?
All right, my friend, I'm going to have to run because I think we've been going at least 45 minutes now, but it was a pleasure talking to you. I really appreciate your time.
Anytime.
No doubt.
Next time we can really talk about don't get stuck on stupid.